down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres postgame show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
Now Solano steps into one, sends it to deep left. Alvarez is back, he leaps up, it's gonna go! Back to back to back. The Padres have teed off on Caleb Ort here in the 8th inning, and it's 4-0.
3 consecutive home runs in the 8th inning helps propel the Padres to a 4-0 win against the Houston Astros on this Wednesday afternoon here in downtown San Diego as the Padres shut out the Astros 4-0 to take the rubber match of this 3-game series. Sam Levitt with you inside the lofts here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we wrap this one up. We have a lot to do. We'll hear from Manny Machado in just a little bit. Manny had 2 home runs in this game. The Padres had what was an absolutely electric 8th inning, back-to-back home runs for Tatis, Machado, and Solano. Manny provided the only run of the game before that, a solo home run in the 6th inning against Framber Valdez. And then Dylan Cease was the other huge story in this ball game today. Dylan Cease, 8 1/3 scoreless innings. He had a perfect game through 5. He was absolutely dealing. And quite frankly, Dylan Cease probably should have had a complete game shutout here today. We'll get more into that a little bit later. But Dylan Cease was absolutely incredible. If you want to say the no-hitter was his finest performance of the year, well, this was certainly number 2. This was a very close second to that no-hit performance. That is how good Dylan Cease was here today. So the Padres, to me, made a real statement today. That's what it felt like, honestly, in the 8th inning with the back-to-back home runs against an Astros reliever. This felt like a statement kind of win with the way Dylan Cease pitched and the way that the Padres got to Framber Valdez and then put the game away with the 3 home runs in the 8th inning. And before we hear from Manny Machado, these two teams the last couple of days played terrific baseball games. We talked a lot yesterday in the postgame about how entertaining, how great that game was yesterday, despite the Padres losing in 10 innings. But all the great theater we had yesterday. Well, the Padres played another great game against the Astros here today. This one was different because we had a marquee pitching matchup with Dylan Cease against Framber Valdez, and it lived up to the billing. Both those guys were great today. Cease was a little bit better, and then again, the 3 straight home runs in the 8th inning, that felt like a statement from the Padres as they beat the Houston Astros in the rubber game of this series. Very, very good team. And the Padres get what you feel like is a very big 4-0 win. Day off tomorrow. White Sox coming to town beginning on Friday. And a lot of good stuff for the Padres here today at Petco Park. Manny Machado had the home run in the 6th inning to make it 1-0 against Framber Valdez. And you thought for a while that might be the lone run in this game, that the Padres may have had to make that one swing from Manny hold up. But then Manny hits the second of the 3 consecutive home runs in the 8th inning. For Manny Machado, his 28th and 29th home runs of the season. And Manny Machado at this moment not only is hitting .279 with 29 home runs, he now has 104 RBIs on the year with 9 games remaining in the Padres season. Manny has been, hands down, one of the best players in the National League for 3 months, 3+ months now, and he continues to deliver for this Padres team down the stretch. It has been so much fun to watch Manny Machado and what he continues to do. I caught up with Manny on the field right after this win.
Manny, let's start with Dylan Cease. He was absolutely tremendous in this game, playing behind him. How would you describe what Dylan did today?
It was unbelievable watching it, behind him. You got a really good ball club over there that doesn't strike out. We got a strikeout pitcher on the mound, and not getting many punches, putting the ball in play, and leaving them to one hit. It was fun to play behind, and getting us in the dugout pretty often to give them some run support.
This was a great pitching matchup. Framber Valdez, a quality left-hander. You got to him as the game went on. How were you able to hit that first home run?
I mean, just attacking. I mean, we know he got good stuff. He doesn't allow a lot of balls in the air. We had a lot of ground balls today. We missed a couple of fly balls. So just trying to be aggressive. And, obviously he had a higher pitch count there towards the end. And, I was able to, make a good swing.
Manny, how about the 8th inning? Toddy goes deep, you go deep, Solano goes deep. What was the feeling inside that dugout as that 8th inning is transpiring?
I mean, just all over, just this ballpark got loud, so you could just imagine how the dugout was. I mean, it's incredible to, come out here and perform like we did tonight, and especially that big inning there for us.
Manny, we talked earlier this week about how you've performed the last few months. It's been so much fun to watch you. How does it feel to you, what you continue to do as we come down the final stretch?
I mean, just continue to play baseball like we've been playing, man. I mean, it's been fun, with a group of guys that we've been playing with every single day, going out there and competing and grinding. It's fun to come to the ballpark every single day. So anything we can do to contribute and perform and do what we can, we just go out there and do it as a team.
Manny, great job today. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That was Manny Machado right after the game. Great stuff from Manny. 2 home runs in this game as the Padres shut out the Houston Astros by a final score of 4-0. And we will discuss plenty about this ball game here today. Dylan Cease again, 8 1/3 scoreless innings. Padres got enough offense to win it. And when we come back, we'll recap this game from start to finish. We'll tell you all you need to know about what Dylan Cease did today. We'll hear the radio highlights, some great calls from Jesse today. And a little bit later, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll have your phone calls coming up a little bit later as well. A lot to break down. A 4-0 win for the Padres against the Houston Astros here today at Petco Park as the Padres take 2 out of 3 from Houston. More postgame after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as the Padres win it here today against the Houston Astros. The final score, Padres 4 and the Astros 0. A great win for the Padres in the rubber match of this 3-game series. Padres improved to a record of 87-66 with the win. Astros dropped to 82-70. The Arizona Diamondbacks did win earlier today, so the Padres will only maintain a 2.5-game lead for that number 1 wild card spot in the National League. But you know what? I know this is the scoreboard watching time of year, but if you're the Padres right now, you're in a really good position when it comes to that number 1 wild card spot with 9 games remaining in your season. And you just got to take care of your own business right now. Scoreboard watching is important. It's fun. It's a part of this time of year. But you just take care of your own business, and it probably is going to end up just fine. And that's what the Padres did here today. Absolutely terrific performance from Dylan Cease. We'll get into that in a moment. And the offense, for most of the day, it was one swing that did all the work. But the Padres then absolutely made this place rock with what happened in the 8th inning. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a handful of minutes, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's recap this one from start to finish.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
We had a marquee pitching matchup here today. Dylan Cease on the mound for San Diego, Framber Valdez on the mound for Houston. And this was a pitcher's duel early on, but each starting pitcher was getting it done quite a bit differently. Let's start with Dylan Cease. He was rolling in the first half of this game. A 1-2-3 first inning, a 1-2-3 second. He struck out the leadoff man and got a couple of ground outs in a perfect third. He retired the side in order in the 4th inning. He got the first 2 outs of the 5th inning. Jeremy Pena was next.
1-2, swung on and missed strike 3. Another 1-2-3 inning for Dylan Cease, and he caps it with a K. 15 up and 15 down.
So 5 perfect innings for Dylan Cease. How about the other side of this pitching matchup? Framber Valdez pitched a 1-2-3 opening frame. Padres had a lot of opportunities early in this ball game. They put runners on first and third with 1 out in the bottom of the 2nd after a Jackson Merrill double and a Xander Bogaerts single, but Jake Cronenworth grounded into a double play to end the inning. Padres had another great scoring chance in the bottom half of the 3rd. A leadoff walk, a bunt single from Brandon Lockridge, Dirksen Profar, then bunted the runners to 2nd and 3rd. Fernando Tatis Jr. struck out. Manny Machado grounded out. The Padres came up empty again. Padres had a runner on second base in the 4th inning with 2 outs, but Jake Cronenworth struck out to end the frame. Padres had a runner on first base. After an error in the 5th inning, they didn't do anything with it. Cease had a perfect game intact heading to the top of the 6th inning. We still had a scoreless game despite the Padres having a number of scoring opportunities. Cease then allowed his first base runner of the game, a leadoff single for Jason Hayward. Cease retired the next 3 in a row. We went to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Still a scoreless game. Framber Valdez went back to the mound for Houston. Manny Machado led off.
First pitch of this at-bat, swung on, laced into left center field. Line drive, gonna go! So much for that. Padres take a 1-0 lead here in the 6th inning on Manny's 28th home run of the season. He has gone out in back-to-back games, and the Padres strike first.
What a moment for Manny. Another big swing. Padres took a 1-0 lead, and you started to wonder with the way that Dylan Cease was going, would that be all the Padres needed in this game? That's all they got in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Cease went back to work in the top of the 7th, a 1-2-3 frame. He was at 85 pitches through 7 shutout innings. Framber Valdez continued to keep it a 1-run game. He pitched the scoreless bottom half of the 7th inning. Padres still led just 1-0 going to the 8th inning. Cease came out and threw 7 pitches in a 1-2-3 inning, and you certainly at the time felt like he was destined to complete this game. He was only at 92 through 8 scoreless innings. We went bottom 8. Valdez was done. Astros reliever Caleb Ort came in, and then the show started. First, it was Nando.
Tatis swings at the first pitch. He hits one on a rope. Out to left center. It's going to go! Almost the exact same spot as Manny's. Machado a homer on the first pitch in the 6th. And now Tatis a homer, the first pitch of the 8th. And it's 2-0.
Fernando Tatis Jr. with a home run made it 2-0. And Fernando, his 19th home run of the season. Oh, the Padres were far from done. Next up was Manny.
3-2 to Machado. Manny swings, hits it in the air to left field and deep. Alvarez is back. He's looking up. It's going to go! Anything you can do, I can do better. Machado with his second of the day. He and Fernando go back to back.
What a moment. Nando and Manny going back-to-back. Padres had a 3-0 lead. Oh, they weren't done. Donovan Solano was next.
Now Solano steps into one. Sends it to deep left. Alvarez is back. He leaps up. It's going to go. Back to back to back. The Padres have teed off on Caleb Ort here in the 8th inning, and it's 4-0.
3 consecutive home runs. Tatis, Machado, and Solano. It went from a 1-0 game to a 4-0 game just like that. That would do it for Caleb Ort. It would be Brian King who came in to finish that bottom half of the 8th inning. So the Padres had a 4-0 lead going to the top of the 9th inning. Like I said, 92 pitches for Dylan Cease, and there was no doubt about it. He was coming back out for the 9th inning with an opportunity to maybe collect a complete game shutout. Mauricio Dubon began the top of the 9th inning with a single. Then Jake Myers struck out for out number 1. Jose Altuve then hit what looked like a potential tailor-made double play ball to end the game. Xander Bogaerts moved a couple of steps to his left. He couldn't field it cleanly, just went past him. It was an error on Xander Bogaerts. So instead of the game being over, there were runners on first and third as Dubon went to third base. Unfortunately, that was the end of the road for Dylan Cease. He would go 8 innings and a third. He left with runners on first and third and 1 out in a 4-0 game. Tanner Scott came in. Yordan Alvarez struck out for out number 2. Alex Bregman was the Astros' final hope.
Altuve will run from first. They let him go. Bregman swings, sends it in the air, straight away, right field. Lockridge is there. He's got it, and the ball game is over. An emphatic win for Dylan Cease and the Padres here this afternoon as they take 2 out of 3 and shut out the Astros 4-0.
Emphatic is the right word. What did I say in the opening segment? I felt like it was a statement win here today for the Padres as they beat the Astros 4-0 on this Wednesday afternoon to take 2 out of 3 from Houston. Final totals here today for the Padres: 4 runs, 9 hits, and 1 error. For the Astros, no runs, 2 hits, and 1 error. A combined 2-hitter from Dylan Cease and then Tanner Scott, who got the final 2 outs of the game. Padres improved to 87 and 66. Astros dropped to 82 and 70. Dylan Cease improves to 14 and 11. Framber Valdez, who was great, he gave up the Manny home run. That was it. In 7 innings, he drops to 14 and 7, and the save goes to Tanner Scott, his 21st of the season between Miami and San Diego. Let's go downstairs and hear some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, how good was Dylan from your perspective?
Dominant. He was outstanding. Controlled counts. Just a ton of life to everything. Ball was jumping. Top part of the zone. Life everywhere with his heater. Slider was filthy. Threw some curveballs that also kept him honest. I'm glad to see him show that. But he was in control the whole way.
Your starting pitching seems to be rounding as you're getting close to the postseason. To have that version of Dylan, that version of you, that version of Joe, Michael, what does that mean?
A lot. It starts with the horses at the beginning of the game. Starts with, pun intended, starts with the starters. The whole group's been tremendous. Where to start? We'll start with Dylan today. He's been fantastic. Joe's been terrific. Michael threw the ball tremendously well last night. You've been really good the last 2 times out, and it looks like vintage Yu Darvish and Martin Perez on the ball, outstanding as well. So those guys have been outstanding, been able to get efficient work, keep them at bay, get deeper into games without having to use as much of the bullpen. So, they've been tremendous.
Now the series over, because I know that it's every opponent kind of the same, but the atmosphere, the quality of the opponent, like a victory, series victory over the Astros. What does that say about your team?
I understand the question completely. Again, I respect our opponents. They're a good club, clearly. They're leading their division. But it's really about how we play and not near as much about who we play. So we welcome the challenge to play against every team that we get the opportunity to show up with every night.
Did it feel like, though, just generally speaking, it kind of ticked up a notch and it might have been like the atmosphere could have been?
Yeah, you can't ignore the atmosphere. I mean, I understand, Ace's question is a valid one, and, you follow up with another. Clearly the atmosphere is important. And it was playoff caliber, that's for sure. All three games, nip and tuck. But, we normalized how we play. So it really doesn't matter the environment. We're going to play our game. Opponent, environment, day, night, hot, cold. We're going to play our game. We're going to play efficiently, and we're going to play, clearly to win.
I know Dylan threw a no-hitter, but considering how efficient he was and the type of hitters he was facing today, is there any chance he might have been even better today from your perspective?
I think that's fair. It's hard to say, right? He throws a no-hitter and to say he was better, but, Dylan Cease is pretty special talent and was able to throw it really well. Hayward was able to, get his swing off and found a hole, otherwise, I was sitting there going, I was making, as you go through, boom, every three batters, I'm in the inning, and I was like, I want to make sure that I have enough room for the next time this comes up, and the third batter makes the last out so I can still read my handwriting on my card. About the fourth, I started thinking about that and doing it. He was fantastic. All right.
I just had one.
Yeah.
The back-to-back-to-back.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's don't ignore it.
What did you think about that moment? And it's first Tatis, then Machado, then Solano.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like? It's really cool. Like Toddy goes up, bang. First swing, laser, Manny. What are you gonna say? Really kind of a tough pitch. Went down and got it. Just put a nice stroke on it. Back spun it out of here. The two homers today were big for him, and Solano being able to do it, was really pretty special. Let's not ignore Manny. He did it all today. That diving play in the first with Altuve, man, that was something special too. So he's doing it all.
Can you talk about what Manny has meant since? Obviously he means a lot, but since the All-Star break, how he's been hitting and how he's been playing as of late.
Yeah, he's gotten to his groove, he's gotten his rhythm. He's showing everybody the player he is, and that's an elite player. He's I just love the fact he's going out, keeping it simple. He's in a good spot, just using the whole field. Doesn't feel like he's got to do it all, but he's clearly doing plenty. And but he's doing it on both sides of the ball, and he's doing the bases too. Like I said, the diving play today, and Altuve to lead out the game. When your best players, or one of your best players, we got a lot of good players, but you got a guy like Manny, who's a cornerstone of your club, going out and doing things like that defensively, and you watch him on the bases, and the other night he's looking to grab a bag, and he's always on point with the secondary. He's a good bit and run the bases well. That elevates everybody as well.
Was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 4-0 win for the Padres against the Houston Astros. Sam Levitt back with you inside the lofts here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Let's touch on a couple of things that were discussed there, and I want to start with the back-to-back-to-back home runs. This was the first time Tatis, Machado, and Solano did 3 consecutive home runs, made it a 4-0 game against Caleb Ort in that 8th inning on the mound for Houston. The first time the Padres have hit back-to-back-to-back home runs since 2007. The last time the Padres, not 2007, 1997, 1997, the last time the Padres did it. That was on opening day, April 1st, 1997, against the New York Mets. It was Ricky Henderson, Quilvio Veras, and Chris Gomez hit the 3 straight home runs in that game. Padres also did it in 1987 They did it in 1979. They did it in 1974 as well. So it had been, how many years? Well more than 20, going on nearly 30. So I guess probably about 27 years or so since they hit back-to-back home runs. So that's how rare what the Padres did in that 8th inning was. So just an awesome moment. And I'll tell you what, 53rd sellout of the season. This was a tremendous crowd for a late Wednesday afternoon in September, and that should be no surprise to you with how amazing the crowds have been here all year and last year, and quite frankly, the year before. But this place erupted. I mean, the dugout erupted. You heard me ask Manny about the energy in the dugout after the back-to-back-to-back home runs, and I didn't just ask it because they accomplished that. I asked it because you look down in that dugout, and they were going wild. You had Manny and Fernando, out in front of the dugout, smiling, cheering. I mean, this place was going nuts when they hit the 3 consecutive home runs. So it's a rare occurrence that you see something like that. Padres hadn't done it in nearly 30 years. So that was pretty cool in that 8th inning. Really, really was. You heard a couple of questions there about the Padres starting pitching. And to me, that has been a major development in the past 8 games. Since the Padres started that 5-game road trip to Seattle and San Francisco, and now you add the 3 games against Houston, and this includes Dylan Cease's 8 1/3 scoreless innings today. Last 8 games, Padres starting pitching has a 1.12 ERA, 6 earned runs given up in 48 innings and a third. To me, when you talk about this team from a postseason perspective, we can talk about a lot. We can talk about a lot of what this team potentially brings to the table and what could propel them. Well, their starting pitching performing anywhere close to this, that's as big of a deal as any. They have been absolutely terrific since the start of that road trip, and really the pitching in general, and I'm going to calculate some of the numbers during our next break, but the one I did calculate while Mike Shildt was talking, again, a 1.12 ERA for the starting pitching in the last 8 games, a span of 48 innings and a third. I mean, let's just quickly run through it here. Today, Dylan Cease, 8 innings and a third, scoreless. Yesterday, Michael King, 7 innings, 2 runs given up. On Monday, Yu Darvish, 6 scoreless innings against the Astros. Martin Perez pitching into the 6th inning on Sunday, goes 5+, gives up 1 run. On Saturday in San Francisco, Joe Musgrove, 6 scoreless innings. Friday in San Francisco, Dylan Cease, 6 scoreless innings. You had Michael King in Seattle, 5 innings, 1 earned run. 5 innings, 2 earned runs given up for Yu Darvish in Seattle to begin that road trip. Really, ever since, if you want to go back to sort of a point to really identify when this started. Remember when Joe Musgrove gave up the 7 consecutive hits to the Giants on that Sunday, where that inning unraveled on him? Padres would lose that game 7-6. Ever since that start, and then the start of the 5-game road trip to Seattle and San Francisco, I mean, this starting rotation has been absolutely stellar. Not good, stellar. And when you talk about aspects that could carry this team on a postseason run, the starting pitching performing to the highest of their capabilities, that is right at the top of the list. It's right at the top of the list. And they've been terrific. The pitching has just been great as of late. So that's a very, very encouraging sign. And Dylan Cease, and I'll touch on this before we go to break. You heard the question there to Mike Shildt, basically asking, was Dylan better today than maybe he even was in the no-hitter in Washington? Now, it's a tough question because Dylan ends up giving up 2 hits in this game. He was a ground ball surely handed, ground ball, kind of mixed up my words here. Let me put it this way. He was a Xander Bogaerts handling that ground ball cleanly away from a complete game shutout today. Hopefully the way I actually said it made sense. You get the point. There was a double play ball that could have ended this game. It was a tailor-made double play ball for Bogaerts. He commits an error, and then Cease comes out of the game. If Bogaerts starts that double play, game's over. It's a complete game shutout, and a 2-hit performance for Dylan Cease. So I don't know that I can get there with him being better today than the no-hitter, just because he gave up 2 hits instead of none. But I'll tell you what, I mean, he was perfect through 5. To me, he was certainly right there as far as good as he was here today. I'd be interested to hear if Dylan Cease thinks maybe he was even better today, stuff-wise, effectiveness-wise, than he was in that start at Washington. But either way, I mean, he was in command from the get-go. It was one of those outings for Dylan where you just saw it early on. You just saw it immediately. Comes out early, first inning, 1-2-3 frame, 1-2-3 second, 1-2-3 third, 1-2-3 fourth. He was rolling early on, and that's the interesting thing about Cease. You can typically see it as he starts. You can see early when he's got the really, really good stuff working. And I'll make another point before we go to break here. And again, I'm going to take you till the top of the hour here. So we got plenty of time. We'll take your phone calls when we come back as well. But Dylan Cease, we mentioned it pregame. He was good in that last start against the Giants. 6 scoreless innings. It was a good bounce back because in the 6 previous starts, he had a 5.01 ERA. I'll tell you what, again, when you talk about starting pitching, if Dylan's starting to turn it on again, we've seen him go on these runs where he is dominant. He is nearly unhittable. And there was a day in Washington where he quite literally was unhittable. We've seen him go on these runs. And if you watched what he did in San Francisco over the weekend, if you watched what he did here today at Petco Park, you start to get the feeling that maybe, just maybe, he's starting to go on one of those runs again. And wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be nice, just as the postseason is looming here, if Dylan can get it going again? Because when he's on and when he's rolling, he's as dominant as they come, and that's the way he was here today. Padres win it 4-0 against the Houston Astros as they take 2 out of 3 in this 3-game series. When we come back, we'll continue to break down this game. We'll get into our daily awards. We have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later as well. We do have time for phone calls. I'm going to take you up till the very top of the hour here. Phone number 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. The phone number to call if you want to get involved. Let me know what you thought about this game, what you thought about this series. Final score, Padres 4, Astros nothing. More postgame after this. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the lofts here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as the Padres win this game 4-0 against the Houston Astros. What a win for the Padres here today. Dylan Cease, absolutely stellar. 8 1/3 scoreless innings, picks up the win. He was perfect through 5. Padres got a Manny Machado home run against Framber Valdez in the 6th inning to make it 1-0. It stayed 1-0 until the bottom of the 8th inning. That's when things got crazy. Tatis, Machado, Solano going back to back to back to make it a 4-0 game. First time the Padres had hit back-to-back-to-back home runs since 1997, April 1st, 1997. So great stuff. I mean, this place was absolutely rocking, and good to be with you on this Wednesday evening. We'll take you up until the top of the hour. We will get to your phone calls here in a little bit, 833-288-0973. The number to call. I do want to just make a correction here. I got the pronunciation wrong. I told you with the last time the Padres hit 3 home runs, it was Ricky Henderson and Kilvio Veras, and it was also Chris Gomez. I got Kilvio's name. I didn't pronounce it correctly, so pardon me. Okay, I was at the time, I guess I would have been 5 years old. Okay, sitting on the other side of the country. So, pardon me. Hey, there are moments where, I still learn about Padres history at times. So, pardon me on the pronunciation. I wanted to make sure I got it right. Kilvio Veras, part of that last time the Padres hit 3 home runs. But great moment for the Padres, no doubt about it. Just a terrific way to end this series, and they take 2 out of 3 from the Astros in this 3-game set. Let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
Our relief pitcher of the game here today, I'll tell you what, we got one option, and his name is Tanner Scott. Did a good job when he had to come in this ball game. Scott faced 2 batters and retired both. So what more could he have done in this game? Came in, and what was a save opportunity with the tying run waiting on deck, and look, he had to face a couple of guys that can certainly do damage. I mean, in that lineup, Yordan Alvarez being one and Alex Bregman being another. So all of a sudden, even in a 4-0 game, comes in, runners on first and third, 1 out. He's facing the heart of that Astro lineup. So great job by Tanner Scott. Struck out Alvarez, got Bregman to fly out to right to end the game. He was really good in the 2 batters he faced, and bottom line, got the job done. So Tanner Scott, who picks up his 21st save of the season between the Marlins and the Padres, he's today's relief pitcher of the game. We'll step aside when we return. We've got a lot of phone calls to get to. If you're waiting on hold, hang on. We'll get to you, I promise. We're going to take one more break. We'll come back. We'll get into the phone calls. Out-of-town scoreboard. We're taking you up until the top of the hour. Padres post-game show as the Padres win it 4-0 against the Astros. Our post-game coverage from Petco Park continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the lofts here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as the Padres win it by a final score of 4-0 against the Houston Astros. We'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard in just a moment. We'll have our player of the game, play of the game coming up in just a little bit as well. We're taking you up towards the top of the hour on our post-game coverage. Let's go to the phones, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We've got a number of people waiting on hold, so let's run through some of these phone calls. We go to Chula Vista. It's Mike. Mike, you're on the Padres post-game show. Go ahead.
Sam. I'll tell you, man, what a season. I was sitting having a cigar. I was supposed to go to the game today, so I was a little mad at myself, but I was so upset last night. I was about to buy tickets, and I stopped myself because, man, I was so mad at Wade. That guy just needs to go back to AAA. Please do not put
Mike,
him
hold on.
out in the field.
Mike,
Yeah.
hold on a second.
Yeah.
Number one, it was yesterday, but number two, I'll tell you what. Number one, that's either the contact play is on or it's not on yesterday, and Tyler Wade can't get thrown out at home plate last night. He can't.
I got you.
I understood the conservative nature of it. I did. I mean, I understand it was frustrating because they never got him home, but they had opportunity to execute better and get him home, and the contact play clearly wasn't on. So that's number one. And then, number two, I mean, the last thing Wade can do there is get thrown out at home plate. I know it was frustrating, and I know there are people out there that disagree with me, but you can't make that first out at home yesterday. I just wanted to say that before you go ahead. Continue.
I respectfully disagree on that, but
that's okay.
We got to be aggressive there. He also on the pass ball that went up the line. Diaz had scored from Houston on the same play earlier, so he's got to get home. He's got to tie the game. So, but that's the negative part. A couple things. I do think that this team is built to win the World Series. If Darvish is back, if he truly is back, and if he pitches like he's been pitching, and Musgrove could come through and be consistent, I do think this team is built to make a really deep run in the playoffs. One thing about the umpires, okay? I just have to get it in. Worst umpiring I've ever seen in my life watching baseball. I mean, this series. Unbelievable. And for the record, too, it's been very frustrating watching umpiring, period. I don't know what they're going to do about it, but I don't know if people don't want to umpire. But the MLB umpiring has been atrocious this year. Leaving on a good note, go Padres. Awesome team, awesome win today. Cease is amazing. Thanks for having me, Sam.
All right, Mike, appreciate the phone call. Yeah, look, Cease was great. Umpires did not have a good night last night, and looked like a lot of guys were not particularly happy with some of the calls today with the strike zone. Hey, you know what? You won today. I know last night it was not a great night overall for the umpiring crew. Let's go to Luis calling in. Chula Vista again. Hi, Luis. You're on the Padres postgame show. Go ahead.
Hello, Sammy. I just want to make two comments if I am allowed, okay? One,
yes, go ahead.
First, I want to congratulate you when you filled in for Jesse. You did a great job. Okay. Number two, I was there in 1974, and I believe it was against the Phillies or the Cardinals, because I remember seeing red caps, and it was Winfield, Colbert, and McCovey, if I remember correctly. So every time I hear they're going to go back to back, it takes me back to 1974. I was there at the stadium. It was actually helmet night. Okay? So I was very impressive with today's performance, and it let me reminisce. Okay?
All right. Yeah, Luis, appreciate you sharing it with us. And, yeah, look, it's a very rare occurrence, and appreciate the phone call. It's a very rare occurrence when you have a team hit back-to-back home runs. Padres hadn't done it in nearly 30 years. So if you were here today, yeah, pretty special. And, again, to do it against this team in the Astros and kind of as emphatically as the Padres did it in that eighth inning, you're sitting there. It's a 1-0 game. You're wondering, man, is the one run going to stand up? And it was boom, boom, boom. Here's a 4-0 lead. And this place was absolutely rocking. So you're right. It's a special thing. There's no doubt about it. It's a special thing. It's not something that happens very often. And, again, it's something the Padres hadn't done in a really, really long time since 1997. We'll get to more of your phone calls here in just a little bit. Let's reset here, take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's gone on today around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
Let's begin in New York. Mets beat the Nationals 10-0 in New York earlier today. Mets scoring 9 runs in the 4th inning in that game. Jose Quintana, another good start, picks up the win. Red Sox beat the Rays 2-1 in Tampa Bay. Trevor Story, a home run in that game for the Red Sox. Guardians beat the Twins in 10, 5-4 in Cleveland. Dodgers beat the Marlins 8-4 in Miami, so the Padres won't pick up a game on the Dodgers today. Other scores, Braves beat the Reds earlier 7-1 in Cincinnati. Giants beat the Orioles 5-3 in Baltimore. Angels beat the White Sox 4-3 in Anaheim. Final in 13 innings. Very rare we see a game go 13 innings anymore, but the Angels win it 4-3. Diamondbacks beat the Rockies 9-4 in Colorado. Corbin Carroll, a couple of home runs in that game for Arizona. A's beat the Cubs 5-3 in Chicago. Games going on right now. Yankees and the Mariners scoreless first inning in Seattle. Blue Jays trailing the Rangers 2-0 in the 7th inning in Arlington. Pirates and the Cardinals tied at 5 in the 7th inning in St. Louis. Phillies and the Brewers tied at 1 in Milwaukee in the 8th inning. Tigers ahead of the Royals 4-1 in the 8th inning in Kansas City. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Wednesday across the major leagues. So again, Padres won, and like I've said a handful of times in the last few days and even earlier on this post-game show, look, Padres got to handle their own business, and they're in a great spot if they continue to do that like they did today. Today they didn't get a lot of help on the out-of-town scoreboard. Dodgers won, Mets won, Braves won, Diamondbacks won. So everybody they're concerned about won. But you know what? They won. The Padres did. So, again, 2.5 game lead on Arizona and New York for that first wild card spot. 2.5 games with 9 games remaining in your season. That's some cushion. Got to keep winning. You got the White Sox coming to town. Padres are in a good position. They got to take care of their own business. That's the bottom line. Padres win it 4-0. It was a big day for the Padres star third baseman. Let's tell you about our player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
I have a correction. The Rules Committee has called in during that little intro. The Rules Committee has called in. As much as I would like to give it to Manny, he was great today, and we'll reward Manny in our next segment, I promise. We'll talk about Manny a little bit more in our next segment. But it's got to be Dylan Cease. I wasn't thinking right there for a moment. It's got to be Dylan Cease. He was unbelievable today. 8 1/3 scoreless innings. If Xander Bogaerts makes that play at shortstop, initiates what could have been a game-ending double play in the 9th inning, it's a complete game shutout today. A 2-hitter for Dylan Cease. So Dylan Cease, hands down, our player of the game here today, as he was absolutely stellar. 5 perfect innings, 8 1/3 shutout innings here today for Dylan Cease, our player of the game. I was about to have Manny here in the city of San Diego irate with me. I don't know, I was thinking Manny for a second there, and then kind of looked down at my scorecard and said, hold on a second. Manny was great. But it's got to be Dylan Cease. It was the Rules Committee. They called me during that little intro. All right, we'll step aside. When we come back, we'll hear our play of the game. We'll update you on the standings one more time before we go. We'll squeeze in a couple more phone calls. We'll go probably a little past the top of the hour, but that's okay. Final score, Padres 4 and the Astros 0. Post-game coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the lofts here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Padres win it 4-0 against the Houston Astros. Dylan Cease, 8 1/3 scoreless innings today. He was absolutely terrific. Padres got all their runs on solo home runs. One by Manny against Framber Valdez in the 6th inning, and then back-to-back blasts from Tatis, Machado, and Solano in the 8th inning. That brought the house down, a sold-out crowd here in downtown San Diego, and the Padres go on to win this game 4-0. They take 2 out of 3 from the Houston Astros. Really good series win. Day off tomorrow. White Sox come to town to begin the final home series of the regular season. Certainly hoping there's more baseball here in 2024. But for the normally scheduled regular season, it'll be over on Sunday. So 3 more games remaining, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the White Sox. We'll get to our play of the game coming up here in just a little bit. We'll go through the standings one more time, wrap things up, get you ready for Friday's game against the White Sox. We've got plenty of calls and callers, I should say, waiting on hold. So let's just run through a few right now before we go. Let's go to Eric. Chula Vista. Hi, Eric. You're on the Padres postgame show. Go ahead.
Hey, Sam. Thanks once again for taking the call. Want to touch on a few things. The series with Houston, a statement series for the Padres. I mean, we just beat a dynasty in the American League that's just been reaching deep into the postseason. 4 World Series, 2 of them won. That was the first one I want to touch on. Phenomenal series by the Padres. Number 2, Dylan Cease. I mean, you've been touching on it the whole post game. This guy just, it seems like outing after outing after outing. He never ceases to surprise the fans. And then no walks. That was another one. He had 0 walks tonight. So, let's get on to the next one. And it's going to be a very interesting final week of the season. Thanks again, Sam.
Yep, good call, Eric, and agree with you all the way around. Cease was great. Statement win, statement series win. Look, Padres didn't win the World Series today. I understand that. But you just felt it in the 8th inning. They were putting the hammer down on a really good team and, put the game away. I agree with you. This felt like kind of a statement day. I felt that way, too. And that's kind of a hard thing to necessarily describe, put really a reasoning on, but it did feel that way today against this team, this time of year, with how tight things are, with the way Cease was pitching. Yeah, especially that 8th inning. It felt kind of like a statement, like a hammer down. Let's go to Wyatt in Spring Valley. Wyatt, you're on the Padres post-game show with Sam Levitt. Go ahead.
Hey, Sammy, thank you so much for taking my call.
You got it.
I wanted to touch real quickly on Xander Bogaerts. I feel like not to take away from the great win today in the series win, but I feel like his defense hasn't been up to his standards as of late. And if we come into this situation again where we're up big and our pitcher is doing great in a big playoff game and he gives up another gas like he did through the legs today, I'm not going to be too happy about that. And then I also wanted to talk about the White Sox coming up. I know we just beat a really good Houston Astros team, but we got to treat the White Sox like they're the Houston Astros. We can't let these guys off the hook easy. And I feel like this series with our runners in scoring position, I feel like we could have been a little bit better than that. Again,
fair.
not to take away from a great series. But, sorry, my coach used to always tell me, never accept anything in a win you win in a loss. So I hopefully we can clean these up. And Manny Machado, too. I feel like since he's gotten healthy, he's been better maybe than his crazy 2022 season. So thank you again for taking
Wyatt. Yeah, Wyatt, on the Manny point, look, I'd have to really go back and dig in on the numbers, but you may be onto something. I mean, when you go back to mid-June and you look at what Manny's done and where he ranks in the National League, I mean, it has been right up there with what he did in 22, and that's without me digging into it. So you're on to something there, and especially as of late. I mean, this has just been tremendous from Manny. I mean, for 3+ months now, he has been one of the best players in the National League, which is what you expect from Manny, But that's a fair point that, you compare it to what he did in 22. Obviously, he didn't have the first couple of months in 22 that he had this season, but there was an explanation for that, the elbow surgery and coming back from all of that. But he's been great. And just to quickly, while I touch on a couple of other things, look, it's a fair point. They struggled early on in those situations. They left 2 on in the second, 2 on in the third, 1 on in the fourth inning, 1 on in the fifth inning. They had opportunities to get to Framber Valdez in this game. There's no doubt about it. Yesterday it was an issue too. So if you want to take a little, something to work on today, and certainly yesterday as well when they were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position, yeah, cashing in when you have opportunities early, that could have been better the last couple of days. That's a very fair point. It's something you're going to have to do better against the White Sox. And to your point, yeah, you got to take the White Sox seriously. Hey, they just won 3 in a row, the other day. So they can win games. I mean, it's a Major League Baseball team. I understand they may end up having the worst record ever, but it's a Major League Baseball team, and trust me, they want to win. So you can't take them lightly. Just quickly on Xander, look, for Bogaerts offensively, ever since he hit that home run in San Francisco, it's been a tough go for him. Look, I think the defense at shortstop since he's moved back there has really been fine. I mean, I think it's been good. At second base, I thought he was actually really good over there as he got more comfortable there. That was a bad error, potential game-ending double play ball in the 9th inning. And look, it also put the tying run on deck. So that was a big error. It was. I'm not concerned about the defense with Xander. I'm really not. It's shortstop. Offensively, he's got to get it going. And look, you may have heard my pregame interview with Xander today. We talked to him for 7 minutes one-on-one today. He knows it. Okay, he knows he's got to get it going offensively. So it's no secret to him, and hopefully he can use the day off and get rolling on Friday against the White Sox. Let's squeeze in a couple more. Let's go to Brandon in La Mesa. Brandon, you're on the Padres postgame show. How are you?
Hey, Sammy, you're doing great. I'm in the car with my 10-year-old son, Brody. We just got back from the game. Say
Great.
hi, Brody.
Hi, Sam.
Hey.
Yeah, super exciting. It was great seeing Cease start up on fire like that, and with a pitching matchup like this.
Back to back was great. Yeah.
All those things, man, just adding up and making me remember the 1997 opening day, how we went back to back to back, and it was so cool to experience that with my son. And anything else, Brody?
I mean, yeah, it was great because I've never seen that, but I think I've been to some good Padres games before. I was at the one where Nando stole home, and I went to an NLCS game in 22 with him. So
we're hoping for some more playoff games this year. We appreciate it, Sam, and go Padres.
Yeah.
All right. Great phone call. Glad you had such a good time at the game today. Good stuff. Let's go to, and we'll finish things up here. Don in Rancho Bernardo. Don, you'll have the final word. How are you, Don?
Well, thank you, Sammy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, doing well. Nice night at the ballpark. It's getting late here. Well, I'm certainly here later than I am right now most nights, but it's been a long season, a good season, and we're coming down the final stretch. I'm good.
Yeah, that's great. You said it, man. We're coming down the final stretch here, and I just wanted to mention something that's kind of so baseball. When you think about the sport compared to the others. Is that last night in the bottom of the 10th inning, everything was all teed up for both Toddy and Manny to come through and at least tie the game there, and they didn't. That's baseball. And then today, of course, they exploded with home runs, and I was especially happy for Toddy today because I think he was either 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts or 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts before he hit that bomb in the bottom of the 8th. So that's baseball, isn't it?
Yeah.
It went our way today.
Yeah, Don, good point. That's a good point, and appreciate the phone call. Yeah, it had been a tough day for Fernando at the plate. Really had until that home run. I mean, think about it. And let's go back to yesterday. He strikes out in a huge spot in that 10th inning yesterday with the tying run on third base and 1 out. It was a big strikeout for Fernando. And then today, strikes out his first at-bat. He has 2 on in the third, strikes out. He's got a runner on in the 5th inning, strikes out. So, yeah, I mean, the last 4 at-bats for Fernando, he had struck out in all 4. It wasn't going great for him the last 24 hours, but then he hits the home run in the 8th inning, and that sparks the back-to-back-to-back home runs. So, good for Fernando. I'm with you. That was good to see him kind of bounce back out of that today because, yeah, for a span of 4 at-bats, It wasn't going great for Nando, but ended up being all right. Starts that back-to-back. Yes, 3 backs. Back-to-back home run stretch. Speaking of Nando, Machado, and Solano going back-to-back, let's hear our play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Tatis swings at the first pitch. He hits one on a rope. Out to left center. It's going to go! Almost the exact same spot as Manny's. Machado a homer on the first pitch in the 6th, and now Tatis a homer the first pitch of the 8th, and it's 2-0. 3-2 to Machado. Manny swings, hits it in the air to left field and deep. Alvarez is back. He's looking up. It's going to go! Anything you can do, I can do better. Machado with his second of the day. He and Fernando go back-to-back. Now Solano steps into one, sends it to deep left. Alvarez is back. He leaps up. It's going to go! Back-to-back-to-back. The Padres have teed off on Caleb Ort here in the 8th inning, and it's 4-0.
Back-to-back home runs. Our play of the game. Plays of the game, if you will, here tonight. Manny. Well, first it was Toddy, then Manny, then Solano. What a show it was in that 8th inning. Sold-out crowd at Petco Park was rocking, and the Padres go on to win this game 4-0, taking 2 out of 3 from the Astros. As always, if you missed any of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game show there as well. Off day tomorrow for the Padres, their second to last off day. Padres will also have an off day on Monday before they begin the final road trip of 2024 to LA and Arizona. Matchup on Friday as the Padres welcome in the Chicago White Sox, game 1 of a 3-game series. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres on Friday. Left-hander Garrett Crochet on the mound for the White Sox. So that's a tough matchup. Crochet's been very good, and obviously big subject to trade rumors earlier this year, and probably will continue to be into the winter. Musgrove against Crochet. First pitch, 6:40 p.m. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show begins at 5:40 on Friday night here at Petco Park. Taking a look at the final totals in this ball game here today. For the Padres, 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 error, they left on 7. For the Astros, no runs, 2 hits, 1 error, they left on 3. Winning pitcher in this game, Dylan Cease, who improves to 14-11. Losing pitcher, Framber Valdez, who drops to 14-7. And the save goes to Tanner Scott, his 21st of the season between the Marlins and the Padres. Time of game, 2 hours and 6 minutes, and the crowd at Petco Park on this Wednesday late afternoon turning into early evening, 42,883, the 53rd sellout of 2024 here in downtown San Diego. Once again, first pitch on Friday, 6:40 p.m. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from Petco Park here inside the Western Metal Building. Again, the final score here today, the San Diego Padres 4 and the Houston Astros 0. We'll talk to you on Friday on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.